voice-doctor.com, is that correct?
That's correct, voice-doctor.com. And they can find all the information about cures, individuals who have been cured. They come from the Mayo Clinic, diagnosed there, UCLA Medical Center, scripts and so forth, cures of hopeless voice problems. And Jacques was told his condition was hopeless. Jacques, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. Actually, we kind of have to wrap things up, but Dr. Morton Cooper, appreciate you stopping by and joining us. And Jacques Dupuis, good to have you along as well. And congratulations on your newfound voice.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
We're back in studio. Steve Krager is the director. He's with me early in the morning. We have a wonderful time. Couldn't ask for a better director. We're going to take a look at books that I have in the library if he has a chance. They're free. 3 books, and this one is called Curing Hopeless Voice Problems, called The Strangled Voice, Spasmodic Dysphonia. It's free. You don't pay a cent. You download it on my website. It's the story of what's going on about the treatment of spasmodic dysphonia. My medical colleagues, my academician friends, Allergan, the maker of Botox, they're all well-intentioned in what they're doing for spasmodic dysphonia. Unfortunately, they don't have a single cure in over 135 years, totally. So it's saying something about what's going on. The medics don't have a single cure since Ludwig Traub first described the condition in 1871. And my take on the whole thing, I'm reporting cures for 35 years. I reported a cure in 1971 in the #1 handbook in the field by Lee Travis, the Handbook of Speech Pathology and Audiology. Then in my textbook in 1973, peer-reviewed in 1980, which was quite an honor. But the medical field, the academicians, and Allergan, the drug maker, Botox, are of the view they guarantee across the world on their websites there are no cures of spasmodic dysphonia. So they give me a monopoly, unfortunately. I'm the only doctor in the world, the most controversial voice doctor in the world, reporting cures ongoingly, documented, with 15 cures alone at UCLA Medical Center, where I was once on the staff and faculty in the head and neck division. We live in a world where once a paradigm is established, once a theory prevails, it's very difficult to change the establishment view of what's going on. Again, I say, my colleagues in the medical world and academia and Allergan, the maker of Botox, are well-intentioned. They guarantee there are no cures in the face of my reporting ongoing cures. I find the problem is due to wrong voice use, and all naturally I help the individuals with this condition to learn to use the voice from the lower throat to the face with midsection breath control, change the image of how they're using their voice because they like deep throat voice down here. And that's the cause of spasmodic dysphonia, and I also find it's the cause of 99% of all troubled voices. Let's take a listen to a before and after of those who had SD, spasmodic dysphonia, and how they talk now.
And I took a round of antibiotics, and then they put me on a stronger antibiotic, and I took that. And I began to feel good, but the voice has been a mess ever since.
I'm commission sales at Sears, and that's my livelihood, is my voice. I got so depressed just not being able to talk that it definitely affected my life.
This voice was coming out. I sing, God damn it.
Within a month of therapy with Dr. Cooper, I was using my voice again to the extent that I could go out on interviews and auditions, and shortly thereafter actually worked.
You can hear the obstruction starting to obstruct now, I think.
This is the new voice.
There is that aspect of lightening up, but there also is an aspect of having the correct pressurization.
And he said, I don't want you to talk in that little girl's voice anymore. You talk in your regular voice. I said, but when I talk in my regular voice, you can't understand what I'm saying.
I had a strangled voice. It was very difficult to speak. When I did speak, it sounded strangled.
Before I had worked into the position of employment director, manager of employment, And he continued to make overtures.
To pick her up before too late and take her home. Do I feel that I'm likely to go back to it? No, I don't.
Ronald Figure. Okay, how long have you had this condition? A year and a half.
And he says, well, Ron, I'll give you 3 options too. He says, you can continue coming here for shots. You can call that doctor in California to schedule a surgery if you'd like. And then he goes, oh yeah, by the way, Ron, there's also this other guy. Go to his website, and he wrote down his name, thevoicedoctor.com, and handed it to him, and he says, check out this guy. He says he has a cure.
And so I found on the dystonia page that something that plagued people with focal dystonia was very often spasmodic dysphonia. And they called it, multifocal dystonia.
And I, as a patient who has experienced the fear and agony of thinking that my voice is disappearing.
It just got really bad lately. It chokes up. My voice chokes up. I can't breathe. I feel like I'm running out of air.
I didn't think that it could be so simple, but it was.
When sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act like a prism and form a rainbow.
When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act like a prism and form a rainbow.
Gradually through a period of a year, it kept getting progressively worse where within a matter of days it would occur.
Wait a minute. This is the patient's recovered voice. The mastoid muscle.
And then I'd go in and start talking to my boss, and at the end of like a sentence, it would start dropping. And he'd say, what's wrong with your voice? And I'd say, I don't know.
I thought, what's happened? What have I done to myself? I know no one out there has this horrible problem I've got. But I found out there's an awful lot of people walking around out there in this world that have the spastic dysphonia.
And they say that it's because some motor signal from the brain is overamped and it tightens up the vocal cords.
It's pretty tragic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty tragic sound, and it's quite different now.
The last time he injected me with half unit each in Botox, I completely lost my voice for 6 weeks. I was incapacitated. It was a complete roller coaster going through that, but that's the only treatment that they told me was available, and that I would be getting these injections for the rest of my life.
Couldn't think of any name, and my sister and I were joking around about how many people call the rabbit's cocktail, and I just said, oh yeah, wouldn't that be funny if I called it Q-tip? So we just called it Q-tip.
Can you talk with the rabbit again?
Hi Q-tip, how are you? Do you want to hop around today? Are you thirsty? Why did you bite my shoe?
Do you realize you change your voice when you talk to the rabbit?
I talked higher.
Who diagnosed it?
Scripps Hospital in La Jolla. Probably about a year and a half ago. They told me that it was neurological and I was born with it.
Other than the one time from Bryn where I had 6 months good voice, nothing.
I believe that spasmodic dysphonia is curable.
According to legend, a boiling pot of gold at one end. People look, but no one ever finds it.
I've been here for the past 10 days trying to find a teaching position for the next academic year.
Jack fell down, broke his crown.
They didn't know what to do because they couldn't get me out of it. So eventually I went to other doctors who told me I had spasmodic dysphonia.
Trying to get help is very difficult because you can't communicate your problem or just your trials. They want you to go to psychiatrists, and how are you supposed to go to psychiatrists when you can't speak?
Well, and then he says, well, how long ago did you see Dr. Cooper? And I went, oh my God, it's been 6 years. It'll be 6 years in June.
As I go through the day, even right now, I'm tending to raise my voice and go in the upper register.
You remember that voice?
I remember it.
Do you like it?
I didn't like it then, didn't like it now.
That's to help
and after a while I regained my voice, not 100%, but much better than it had been. And after about 2 years, it started to again got worse and worse.
I hope that by sharing, others too will find new hope for a life that allows them that greatest gift that God has given us, the gift that makes us human, that gift we call communication.
The last gentleman on the DVD is the Reverend James Johnson of the Mayo Clinic, diagnosed there over 20 years ago with neurological spasmodic dysphonia, and he's been cured for over 20 plus years. Of course, he helps me and he helps others because he's one of the individuals that was so severe it was, he said, people have said it's unbelievable he can talk again. One of the individuals on this DVD is Tom. He said he had one success. We didn't include the fact he had 17 Botox shots by the creme de la creme, 3 of the top ear, nose, and throat doctors in the country giving Botox shots, and not one other shot of the 17 worked, covering a period of 14 years. I helped him to get his voice back. A young lady on the tape who talked like that, and she had bowed vocal cords, having had 2 Botox shots. She's been cured for over 9 years, I understand, by what I did for her. I do it all naturally. I find the cause of spasmodic dysphonia, and 99% of all voice problems are caused by deep throat voice talk down here. It's cultural. We want to talk in the lower throat. It gives us authority, it gives us sex, it gives us anything we have in mind. We have an identity, a voice identity, and a speech identity, and that's what's doing us in. It's not genes, it's not neurological cause, it's not psychiatric care. The symptoms from the strangled voice and other voice problems are coming from our own unintentional misuse of the speaking voice. I write about this, I call it voice suicide. The medical profession and the academicians, my colleagues, I'm a PhD, I was on the staff and faculty working with voice problems at UCLA for approximately 8 years, and we had fabulous results under Jack Pressman, the chairman then. Shows that voice problems are due to wrong voice misuse. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the medical world and the academic world are of the view that voice problems are due to disease, to medical problems, and especially with spasmodic dysphonia, basal ganglia deficiency, chemical problems in the brain, genes, a dystonia. Dystonia means it's neurological, it's hopeless, and it's not. It's curable. I've been reporting cures for over 35 years. I've documented the cures. Still, the medical world worldwide today, on its websites worldwide, guarantees there are no cures. You can check it. All the medical centers, UCLA, Johns Hopkins, the Mayo Clinic, and so forth. Yet I report cures of patients who have been to the top medical centers diagnosed with severe spasmodic dysphonia. I've helped them to find their voice, to have a cure. A number of the individuals on the DVD you heard have had lasting cures for a number of years. It's very, very important for you to realize, if you have a friend, an associate, or somebody who suffers from the so-called incurable voice problem called spasmodic dysphonia or other voice problems, there's hope, and there are cures. I'm Mort Cooper. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.